She started taking her phone into the bathroom. That's when the air changed. Before that, home was easy. Dinner at the small oak table I refinished the first summer after we married. Sneakers by the door, 2 mugs on the counter, her humming while she folded laundry. Then the phone became a third person at our table. She'd turn it face down when I walked in, then keep it in her palm anyway, like a stress ball. The night I asked, "Are we okay?" she kept scrolling. "We're fine," she said, not looking up. "Just tired. New project. Don't read into it." I didn't press. I did what a decent husband does. I filled the fridge, ran the dishwasher, learned her roasted salmon recipe off a sticky note. I bought flowers on a Wednesday, not a birthday in sight. She thanked me without a smile. A quick, "You didn't have to." Like I'd dropped a package for the wrong address. If I'd known where this was headed, I would have tightened my seatbelt. The delays at work came next. She used to text, "Be there at 6. Want anything from the deli?" Now it was, "Running late." Then nothing. Then the door at 1:20 a.m. Her steps careful. The phone light flicking under the bedroom door like a lighthouse for ships that weren't me. Big project. I asked one Saturday morning, flipping pancakes I knew she wouldn't touch. "They piled stuff on me," she said. "We'll get past it. Don't make it a thing." "I'm not making it a thing." I slid a plate toward her. "I'm making breakfast." She took a photo of the pancakes and didn't eat them. Her smile in the photo looked real. The one she gave me after did not. On my lunch break Monday, I drove to her office with her favorite salad and a coffee. Oat milk, extra hot, the way she liked when she was in a good mood. Her team's floor had glass walls, a fishbowl with chairs. She was in one of the glass rooms, and she wasn't alone. The guy stood close enough to see his tie clip. They were talking with that quiet laugh people pretend is business. She touched her hair. He leaned in. That wasn't a spreadsheet laugh. The receptionist, a cheerful 20-something who wore bright lipstick, popped up beside me. "She's in a meeting," she said, loud enough for the glass room to hear. My wife looked over. Her face rearranged itself into the smile she used to give me at the grocery store when she found the last ripe avocado. She came out, smooth and light. "Oh, hey," she said. "This is sweet. What brings you here?" "Lunch," I said, holding up the bag. "And coffee." She glanced behind her at the guy, then back at me. "We were just finishing a meeting. He's a very demanding client." She said it like a punchline. He raised 2 fingers in a lazy salute through the glass. I nodded once and stepped inside, set the food on the little table in the corner. We ate while she checked her phone. When I asked how the project was going, she was brief, intense, like any detail might overdraft her patience. When I left, the receptionist said, "Have a great day," with a look that said, "That was awkward," and I didn't disagree. That night, I roasted chicken and waited. Text at 7:05. "Don't wait up." At 12:40, the engine idled outside. I moved the curtain. The same guy from the glass room got out and opened her door. She kissed him on the cheek, quick and easy, like muscle memory. She came up alone. "Where were you?" I asked. "In the hallway." She kicked off her heels. "Please don't start." "I'm not starting. I'm asking." "Work," she said. "Ashley gave me a ride." I'm dead on my feet. "Ashley's a 6-foot guy with a tie clip?" My voice stayed level. I wasn't looking for a scene. I wanted accuracy. She set her purse down harder than necessary. "You're being paranoid." "I'm going to shower." "Do that," I said. "We can talk in the morning." "We don't need to talk." She threw over her shoulder. "You need to trust." I didn't respond. The sound of water filled the hallway. I sat on the edge of the bed, looked at the photos on our dresser. Her graduation day. Us on a beach, grinning. One of those perfect afternoons where the sun did everything right. The math didn't add up anymore. In the morning, I kissed her cheek, wished her a good day, and drove to a private investigator a friend of mine, Mike, from the shop, had used when a business partner started misplacing inventory. The investigator's office had blinds that actually worked and a coffee pot that didn't. He listened, asked 3 questions, wrote a retainer number on a card the way a barber writes appointments. 2 days, he said. Maybe 3. Don't do anything stupid. Not my style, I said. Good, he said. This isn't TV. I didn't play cowboy. I adjusted my life. The first adjustment was time. I stopped sitting up past midnight. Dinner moved to 6. Plate, fork, napkin, and if she wasn't in the chair by 6:30, the plate went in the fridge and I ate. The second adjustment was access. I moved our automatic transfers into 2 accounts. Bills got paid. Her endless extras did not. I sent a text. Budgets updated. Essentials covered. We'll talk plans on Sundays at 9 p.m. 15 minutes. If you miss it, we roll with what we have. Not a punishment. Clarity. Her reply came 2 hours later. Seriously? Are you punishing me? No, I answered. I'm setting a schedule. You're busy. I'm busy. That night she came home right at 10, which counted as early by the new standard. She stood in the kitchen doorway, arms folded. This new banker routine, she said. What is it? It's called adulting, I said, pouring myself water. And sleep. You don't control me, she said. Correct, I said. I control my time. You can be part of it. Or not. She watched me for a beat. You're being cold. I'm being clear. She nodded once, stuck her phone in her back pocket, and said nothing. The line had been drawn. She pretended to be offended. I pretended not to notice. Both acts were better than the silence we'd had. 2 days later, the investigator texted. Folder ready. Call me. He slid photos across a desk without any drama. If you've ever been hit by something you saw coming, you know how odd the sensation is, both braced and surprised. Hotel lobbies. The parking lot outside her office. The same guy? Dates, times. A screenshot of her stepping in close at the curb. Her hand on his lapel. All of it looked like adults making choices. You want me to keep going? He asked. No, I said. That's enough. He placed one more item on the stack. A business card. Lauren, handwritten on the back, a cell number scrawled in a tidy, slanted script. She's his wife, he said. You can call her. Or you can do nothing. I'll call. Word of caution, he said. Keep it clean. I will, I told him. I'm not here to perform. I called Lauren from my truck, parked behind the hardware store to get away from noise. She answered on the third ring, voice steady. This is Lauren. Hi, I said. My name is Ray. I think our spouses are spending time together. I kept my tone neutral, plain. I have times and photos. I'm not grandstanding. I'd rather talk in person. Silence. Then a measured breath. I can meet in an hour. There's a coffee place on Maple. Back corner. She was there before me. Brown hair pulled back, business casual neat. She didn't waste words. Show me, she said. I slid the folder over. She looked, page by page. Her hands shook once, then stilled. He told me he was mentoring someone, she said flat. He said it was important for his career. He told her he was a demanding client, I said. She lifted her eyes. I hate that that's funny. Yeah, I said. Me too. We sat there with 2 cups that went cold and a pile of paper that felt heavier than it looked. When the waitress checked in, Lauren gave her the kind of smile people give when they're being polite to strangers and holding themselves together with tape. What do you want to do? Lauren asked. File, I said. Quietly. Quickly. She nodded. I've got an attorney who is efficient. I didn't say the word you're not supposed to say. I didn't need it. We both understood the shape of the situation. I met her attorney the next morning. A woman in her 50s with a crisp voice and a desk with no clutter. She read, asked, advised, and then put a hand on the folder as if making a note of its weight. While documents are in motion, she said, do not announce anything. Don't try to trap anyone. Let the process move. Keep your finances stable, your communications brief, your expectations low. That I can do, I said. I left her office and drew another line. I canceled a weekend away we'd penciled months ago and moved it into a fishing trip with Mike and his brother. I took my key off the ring that opened her office garage. I put our calendars on shared but not merged. That night, during the 15-minute slot I'd scheduled, I stood in the kitchen and kept it simple. Sundays are my day now, I said. Gym in the morning, shop in the afternoon, calls in the evening. I won't be available for last-minute favors. She stood on the other side of the island. Wow, she said. I'm so sorry to inconvenience your brand new independence. You didn't inconvenience it, I said. You inspired it. She smiled without warmth. You're petty. No, I said. I'm not even creative. I'm just done winging it. She opened her mouth for a retort, then pivoted. That was the first soft turn. She reached across, touched my hand like a peace offering. Look, she said. I've been scattered. I know that. I'm sorry if I made you feel sidelined. She took a breath. How about I cook Thursday? I'll be home by 7. No phone. Just us. I studied her face. The apology sat on the surface like a sticker on a fruit you haven't washed. Still, I wasn't allergic to decency. Thursday at 7 works, I said. Thursday at 7 became Thursday at 9. She texted at 6:40, running late. Don't be mad. I ate my dinner, put her ingredients back in the fridge, and read a book. She came home with a grocery store bouquet and a rush of words. You won't believe the day, she said, setting the flowers on the table as if they could fix a clock. I had to stay. The client. Save it, I said not unkindly. We can sit for 10 minutes. Or we can try again next week. Your call. She pulled out a chair and sat. The phone stayed face down in front of her. We talked about nothing. A new neighbor with a loud truck, the dog across the street, the city resurfacing the road. It felt like two colleagues killing time in an airport lounge. Saturday, I went fishing. Mike cracked sunflower seeds and said, "You good?" The way men ask when they mean something without poking around. I'm making moves, I said. That I can tell, he said. You're lighter. Monday morning, the investigator's photos weren't my engine anymore. Paperwork was. Numbers were. Plans were. I didn't slam doors. I didn't slam anything. I did things clean. She noticed. She also adapted. That was soft turn number 2. She showed up Tuesday night with my favorite soup from the spot by the river, the one we used to go to after hikes. I picked up dinner, she said. Truce. Sure, I said. She put the bag on the counter and came closer than she had in weeks. I know I've been absent, she said. It's just, this thing at work is big. When it's over, we'll take a weekend. No phones. I already used that weekend, I said. But we can take a different one after you finish saving the company. She rolled her eyes. Can't you just be supportive? I am, I said. I'm not sabotaging you. I'm setting my life up so it runs. She sighed, then went all the way into nice. Too nice. Clearing plates mid-meal, asking about my day, laughing at things that were barely jokes. If niceness had weight, it would have been a weighted blanket. It was the kind of generous that arrives after the bank calls about an overdraft. The next morning I got the call from Lauren. Documents are filed, she said. My side anyway. Your attorney synced with mine. Good, I said. Time for the last step. What's the last step? Something honest, I said. No shouting. No spectacle. Just a table and facts. She didn't flinch. Tell me where and when. I booked a table at a steady, mid-range place downtown. White tablecloths that actually stay white. I asked for a booth by the window. I texted my wife at lunch. Dinner at 5. I booked us. Be on time. She replied, I have a meeting. Then move it, I wrote. Are you serious? Completely. At 4:30, Lauren and I sat down. She ordered coffee. I asked for water. We talked logistics. Who had told whom? Who hadn't? How to keep the blast radius small for people who didn't earn the fallout. At 5:05, my wife blew in like weather. Her eyes swept the room, locked on Lauren, then on me. She came to the table with a smile I hadn't seen at home in months. What's this? She asked, light like a sitcom line. I stood. This is Lauren. Lauren didn't offer a handshake. Hi, she said, with the calm of a nurse who's seen worse. My wife dropped the smile. Is this a joke? No, I said. Sit down. I'm not sitting, she said. Tell me what this is, Ray. It's a clean conversation, I said. I placed a manila envelope on the table. You'll want to look at this. She didn't move. Open it, Lauren said, not unkindly. It's not a trick. My wife sat, yanked the flap open, and slid out the contents. She didn't make it past the second photo. The date stamps did the narration. She looked up, mouth ready with words, found none, and looked down again. That's not, she started. It is, I said. And you recognize him. She smacked the stack into a neat pile. You had me followed? That's sick. What's sick? I said, keeping my voice even. Is pretending the truth is a rumor. I'm done with rumors. Lauren tapped the envelope. There are documents in there too, she said. We're not here to fight. We're here to state reality and next steps. My wife looked at her with a glare that would have melted a weaker person. You had time to file papers, but not to call me. Lauren held her gaze. I called you plenty, she said. You didn't answer. He did. She nodded at the photos. I don't need your commentary. I need your signature where my attorney asked for it. My wife switched back to me. You're unbelievable. You spring this ambush. In a restaurant. This is not an ambush, I said. It's public for a reason. We say what's true. We behave like adults. And then we act. What do you want? She asked. I already did what I want, I said. I filed. You'll get your copy. She let out a short laugh that sounded like it hurt. Oh, you filed. Great. So you're the hero now. Not a hero, I said. Just a man who's finished negotiating with weather. She stared at me like she was waiting for me to take it back. I didn't. She looked at Lauren. You, my wife said. Do you think this is going to make you feel better? No, Lauren said. It's going to make me free. The waitress approached, took in the heat at the table, and said, Do you folks need a minute? With the bravery of the underpaid. We're good, I said. Check, please. I didn't order anything, my wife snapped. Right, I said. Because you're leaving. She blinked. You're kicking me out of a restaurant. I'm ending a meeting that I started, I said. We're done. She looked at me, then at Lauren, then at the envelope. Her jaw worked. She stood. You're throwing away our life? She said, voice low. No, I said. You did. I'm just making sure the trash gets picked up. She opened her mouth again, shut it, snatched the envelope, and walked out. The door swung back hard enough that the host winced. The room's volume returned to normal slowly, like an ear popping after a flight. I paid for the coffee and water. Lauren slid out of the booth. I looked at her. How about an actual dinner? I said. Not tonight, but soon. No paperwork. No autopsy. Her mouth flicked with something like relief. I'd like that, she said. We left together, not touching, not hiding. That night felt light in a way I hadn't felt light in months, and it wasn't because I'd won. It was because I'd stopped performing sanity in a situation that had none. At home, she was waiting on the couch with a throw blanket around her shoulders, the envelope beside her, opened and raided. Her eyes were red. A glass of water sweated on the coffee table. Can we talk? She asked. We already did. I answered, setting my keys in the dish. I made mistakes, she said, like she was reading from a script. I've been under pressure. I wasn't myself. You were yourself? I said. Just not a version I can respect. She swallowed. We can fix it. We can go to a counselor. Delete numbers. Start over. This isn't technical, I said. It's moral. There's no app for that. So you're just done, she said. I'm done, I said. I'll be moving out this week. I'll send a list of what I'm taking. It won't be a surprise. She stared at the carpet like it might offer advice. You won't even try? I tried, I said. You were busy. The next hour I packed essentials, tools I paid for, documents, the framed photo of my dad and me at the old ballpark, the coffee grinder she never used. I didn't take the couch or the TV or anything that would let her tell herself a story about me being cruel. I took my life and left hers neatly on shelves. When I zipped the last duffel, she spoke without looking at me. I didn't think you'd actually do it, she said. That's the thing, I told her. I stood in the doorway with one bag on my shoulder. You've been acting on the assumption I won't. She looked up, shining with a fresh round of tears. Do you hate me? No, I said. I don't have the energy for hate. Here's what I do have. I pointed at the envelope. Clarity. I walked out. I didn't slam the door. I moved into a furnished month-to-month about 10 minutes from my shop. It had a balcony and a view of a parking lot, which was honest. Mike helped me haul the heavier stuff. You want a beer? He asked, sitting on a box labeled tools. Water's fine, I said. He cracked his knuckles. You handled it straight. I handled it like an adult, I said. Low bar, but here we are. The next weeks were paperwork and logistics. I didn't gossip. I didn't spin it. When people asked, I kept it in one sentence. We're ending it. Wish her well. I went to work. I went to the gym. I saw a therapist twice and said the quiet parts out loud, not because I was broken, but because hygiene matters. Lauren and I met for dinner on a Wednesday, then again on a Sunday afternoon walk at the lake. We didn't compare scars like badges. We talked about where we came from, what we wanted, what we wouldn't do again. It was grown up. It was simple. It was nice. My wife tried one more play. She dropped by my place unannounced, mid-afternoon, when the world thinks people are at work. I made brownies, she said, holding a tin. Thanks, I said. You can leave them. Can we talk? She asked, stepping inside like it was still her territory. We talked, I said. And you ignored the important parts. I can change, she said. I can be the person you need. I don't need a person, I said. I need respect. Those are different. She set the tin down and touched my arm. Please, Ray. I stepped back. No. Is there someone else? She asked. There's me, I said. And that's plenty. She took the hint and left. The brownies were dry. I tossed them. Somewhere in there she realized I wasn't bluffing, and her tone shifted from persuasive to angry to resigned, in that order. I didn't respond to the angry messages. I acknowledged the scheduling ones. Pick up Thursday at 2. Signed form attached. Thank you. It's amazing how much peace you can buy with 3 sentences and no commentary. The final meeting was at the notary's office. Efficient, fluorescent, no music. She signed, I signed, the woman at the desk stamped. My wife wiped at her eyes and asked, Are you happy now? It's not about happy, I said. It's about clean. We walked into the parking lot. She tried one last time. Say something, she said. Anything. Okay, I said, turning to face her so there'd be no confusion. You didn't lose me because you made a mistake. You lost me because you required me to tolerate one. I don't live like that. Take care of yourself. That was the last full sentence I said to her. My life after wasn't a movie montage. It was early mornings and late afternoons and the quiet satisfaction of a shop project done right. I bought a small house on the edge of town, a fixer with a detached garage that I turned into a workspace. No designer counters, no staged fruit. Just a big workbench, good lighting, and a pegboard where every wrench has a hook. I picked up an older truck that runs like a dog you trust. On Saturdays, guys from the neighborhood bring me small engines and crooked shelves. We talk about the weather and wood and how most problems are either stripped screws or stubborn pride. Lauren and I didn't rush. We gave it months. We didn't flood each other with sweet nothings. We showed up on time. We kept our words. We had dinner with her friends, and I wasn't a ghost in a chair. We took a weekend to a cabin near a lake with no signal worth checking. We laughed about nothing, which is different from avoiding something. One night, on my porch, she said, I like the way you end things you can't fix. It keeps the rest of the machine running, I said. At work, things went well. I landed a contract with a contractor who needed custom storage built for a series of townhouses. Word got around that I deliver on time and I don't upsell nonsense. My calendar filled out 3 months ahead. Mike started coming by more, then joked that he was going to steal my best jigs. I told him to bring donuts instead. He did. I heard about my ex through the sideways channels that carry news in small places. She moved into an apartment closer to downtown. The client didn't become a husband. The office politics that made her feel important turned, as office politics do. People who used to laugh at her jokes stopped. She tried a few grand gestures online. They got comments and then sank. I didn't gloat. I didn't send a screenshot to anyone. I saved my energy for better things than reheating old meals. Every now and then, the receptionist from her old office, Paige was her name, I eventually learned, stopped by the shop to get a shelf cut or a stool leg fixed. The first time, she stood by the counter and said, I always liked how you carried yourself that day. Not that it matters, but you were calm. Being loud doesn't move paperwork, I said. True, she said, smiling. People at the office still talk about the envelope. Let them, I said. It was honest. When I lock up the shop at night, I like the sound a good deadbolt makes. It's clean, final, no wiggle. My porch light kicks on. The neighborhood dog barks twice, like he's clocking me in. Sometimes I make popcorn in a pan because it tastes better that way, and I'm a man of simple loyalties. If you're waiting for me to say that I forgive everything and everyone, you'll wait a long time. I'm not in the absolution business. I'm in the boundary business. That's how adults keep their lives from bleeding all over the floor. My ex learned that late. I learned it on time. I don't need a parade for that. I need a good night's sleep and a clean shop. People ask me if I'd do anything differently. I'd do one thing, act sooner. The first time the phone went to the bathroom, I should have pulled my time out of the equation. Not to punish. To be clear. That's the lesson. Don't argue with fog. Turn on the lights. If someone squints at the brightness, that's not your fault. The last message she ever sent me was months after the stamp dried. I thought we were solid, she wrote. I thought you'd never leave. I stared at it for a second, then hit delete. Not out of spite. Out of maintenance. Here's the thing I tell Mike when we sit on my tailgate after we load up lumber. It's not that I don't believe in love. I do. I just won't trade respect for it. If that makes me cold, fine. My hands are warm. I earn my sleep. On a Sunday evening in late fall, Lauren and I stood in my garage, looking at a cedar chest I'd made for her niece's birthday. It came out clean. Lid fit right. No rattle. "This is really good," she said, running her palm along the top. "You know what I like most?" "What?" "You didn't talk about making it," she said. "You just made it." "That's the trick," I said. She nodded, then took my hand. Simple as flipping a light switch. We walked inside. The porch light clicked off behind us without me having to think about it. That's how I live now. Set the switch, let it work, and if something quits working, replace it. Don't argue with a broken socket. Don't beg it to spark. Install a new one, tighten the screws, and move on. I leave you with this. The day I put the last box away in the garage and labeled it without messing around, I texted Mike a photo of the pegboard. He responded, "Dialed." Then he added, "How's your head?" I wrote back, "Straight." He sent a thumbs up, because men over 40 are consistent like that. It isn't a fairy tale. It's a clean ledger. She lost the comfort she took for granted. I lost the noise I didn't need. Lauren gained a partner who shows up. I gained my own respect. That's the return. That's the whole story. And if I ever hear the engine idle outside my window at 1:20 a.m. again, it'll be my truck, backing in straight, lights off, home.